Welcome to Syncast powered by Commercient. I'm Heath McKnight. Joining me today is Azfan Jaffeer. He is founder and chief architect of Terrabbit. Welcome back, Azfan. Thanks for joining us today. I really enjoyed our conversation 2 years ago, and it looks like a lot of positive things have changed with your company since we last spoke, and I was wondering if we could talk about that.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, Heath. I really like talking to you, and I like talking to Commercient. A lot of things have changed. We've grown a bit. I think we doubled in size. We're at
Wow.
8 people right now. We have some very interesting clients. Just everything is going well. Not without its challenges, but definitely going well. So very excited.
Excellent. And when did you move into this pretty incredible office? I was looking at some of your videos that you have online and kind of showcasing that. When did you guys move in?
So we moved in. It's based in Montreal, Quebec. So we wanted to solidify our presence here in the local market, and we moved in about a month ago. So it's still fresh. You can see
Yeah.
boxes in the background and all of that in the hidden room. But in general, yeah, I mean, we moved in recently and super excited. We have actually some clients coming down to do training because they want more in-person training. The market has shifted where I think now that we're coming out of COVID, the face-to-face is really appreciated now. So whoever or clients that do want to come sit down, whiteboard a couple of things, we're set up for that as well. And there's a big part of our work that is, let's call it design and discussion and elaborating. So it really helps. The space really helps for that, and we're optimizing for that. So pretty excited to have clients down.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah. Whereas you're on Zoom and you're trying to do a virtual whiteboard, and there's just something about those in-person meetings. And if you don't mind me asking, is the training kind of just helping with Salesforce, improving their processes, overall digital transformation?
Yeah. So a lot of now that I think we have to take a step back for this. So when
Sure.
you look at where we are in the economy, right? The interest rates are rising, the cost of borrowing is going up. So it's becoming a more difficult time to have easy access to money, at least compared to what we had during in COVID, with the interest
Mhm.
rates almost rock bottom, lowest ever in history. And now when the cost of borrowing is adjusting to normal, what we would say normal, comparatively, it's much higher. So that's creating as the cost of borrowing goes up, the spending that people did or companies did during COVID, we can't maintain that same level. So it's all about productivity and efficiency now. So a
Mhm.
lot of the requests that we're getting is more around, it used to be, hey, let's build something brand new. Now it's around, let's optimize and get the most out of what we can from the systems that we have. Let's use what we have to maximize our workflow, to squeeze every bit we can out of the system. So that's really what we're focusing on now. We're seeing a lot of requests come in along that style. And
Mm.
that's what we're trying to further tailor our services to focus in on. Well, if we map out your workflow and we map out your processes, what are the pieces that can be incrementally improved? And what's interesting is that there are so many technology pieces coming out, like within Salesforce themselves, third-party tools that can add to this productivity, because what you want now, especially more than ever, is instead of just growing the top line, you want your cost of operations also to stay the same, or you want it to reduce, if anything. So
Mm.
finding those opportunities to save while trying to push up your top line revenue is what we're seeing is like the number one priority right now, especially because the cost of borrowing has gone up.
Yeah. And what a difference between our conversation 2 years ago when it was, like you said, building out our, digital transformation and everything. So awesome. Now, I'm seeing a lot of parallels here. You're growing, moving into an office, and as you said, there are some challenges and everything, but as you grow, are you taking what you have learned and kind of using that to help your clients as they grow, saying, hey, listen, we've gone through this. This is what we did. This is what helped us. Are you able to do that with your customers?
Yeah, absolutely. A big part of what we do is strategy. So there are so many tools today at your disposal, in forms of technology that there's tons and tons of tools. And it's not about the technology per se, as it is around how do you use that technology effectively. So what we're helping and what we're noticing as we grow, and the thing is, because we do consult on that, we are already set up, for example, to add on 5, 6, 10 more people, because we've
Wow.
designed that from day one. We're not, so we are actually consuming and following a lot of the things that we say to our clients. Single sign on, make sure your systems are connected, make sure you can stay agile and in the cloud, and you can move your systems around as it fits your business needs. We are doing the exact same thing that we're recommending to our clients. And even though we're a smaller company, in the grand scheme of things, we do spend quite a bit on technology licenses. Everything that we're telling our clients, we experience the same thing. So we're like, we understand that it's an investment, because we do invest ourselves in a lot of these licenses and tools that we're telling our clients to use. Because I think it'll be also hypocritical if we say, hey, go
Yeah.
invest in this tech, go invest in that, but we're not doing the same thing. And what's funny is that we've had recently, as we grew, we had people join that were participating in much bigger companies, and they were employed at bigger companies. And they see that, the processes we have, yes, we're still a startup and we're agile and things are still evolving, but the structure and the systems we have in place are at the same kind of robustness as a larger company would manage, which is exactly what you would want. Now, you don't want it to be too big and too cumbersome, but you do want it to be at a point where, as you add people to your team, your sales team, or your processes are well defined, so that as you grow, then your team can grow and the growing pains, so to speak, are
Yeah.
reduced, or you're accounting for that in the future. And
Mm.
that's super important. Long-term thinking is definitely what we really align and guide clients towards doing.
Yeah, and that's very interesting that you're thinking not only of your future, you could add 5, 10 more people. And you think, oh, it's easy, I could just do that. But it can be very complicated, especially if you aren't planning for that. And you're mentioning software and everything. I think this would be a great segue to talk a little bit about Salesforce. And last time we talked about how Salesforce can help clients modernize their overall processes and everything. But given the way that a lot of these companies, as they're growing, and like you said, it's a bit of a tight, I guess, credit market. America, I think all around the world, they're experiencing that right now. How does Salesforce, how is it flexible, customizable, ready to go for somebody that has a very small sales department, for example, too? Wow, we are really growing. I'm glad that we spoke with Azfan and his team, because now we can add these people and expand. But how does Salesforce come into play with that flexibility and customizability and everything?
I've always seen Salesforce as a platform, and it's a very, very powerful platform. It offers a huge range of tools, and even recently with the acquisition of Slack, this acquisition strategy has really helped because they have a full service toolkit. Now, the challenge is that there's a lot to be done. The complexity isn't in what you want to do. The complexity is in zeroing in on what is the highest value activity that you and your team can work on. And this is
Mm,
the number one thing that as a leader people should be focusing on, is what type of day-to-day activities are people doing, and is that the highest use of their time? This, I think, is coming more and more towards the forefront. And
mm,
a tool like Salesforce, you can customize it to the end of time. You can keep building fields, you can keep
yeah.
building flows, you can keep building custom tools. We just had a conversation with a client this morning around the different aspects of their business. So they're a brokerage firm, and
Mm,
they have investors, they have people that send them leads, they have this very complex customer relationship environment, or even partner relationship environment. But it's to figure out, well, what is the business priority right now? Is it to grow top line revenue? Is it to increase the effectiveness of their underwriting team? Like, what is the business driving force that is leading all these discussions? And I know that it's, when it's very easy to get wowed by the tech and get pulled into, hey, we can do this, we can do that. But coming back to a business priority, what is the number one thing we should focus on? What should we work on right now? Is it the right time with the budget that we have? And having an open and honest discussion, and sometimes even pushing clients away to say, hey, you know what? I don't think this is a good fit for you because you're saying, you want to grow in this direction, you want to set up this type of tool. And when we do a diagnostic and understand that it doesn't fit, also, we can tell people, hey, we can tell clients, maybe this is a better option for you, or maybe you should consider that. And it's really about education to make sure that you make an informed decision and you're buying, not being sold to. And that's what we really, really try to do on all aspects of our, from pre-sales, discovery, all the way down to delivery, and an ongoing process as well, because there's a lot of returning requests. Once clients see what they can do on the Salesforce platform, they want to do like 50 more things. So it's actually slowing them down and saying, no, let's do it one step at a time. And you don't want to burn all your budget on a big bet, even though as fun as it can be. But you have to, especially in an environment where there's a lot of risk, and like I mentioned, the cost of borrowing and all of that, you really want to make calculated moves to make sure that, however you're navigating, it's optimal for you and your company. And that's what we try to really drill home for clients. As exciting as it might be for everybody, it's really to do the right move at the right time.
Excellent. And I've heard stories, and I think even you and I had spoken about it. It's kind of the baby steps with Salesforce, not just from a budget perspective, but if you kind of go all in sometimes, and it's like, okay, you're going to be using Sales Cloud, you're going to be using Slack, you're going to be using this and that, and then it can impede adoption of the platform. And it sounds like you guys have such a great strategy to ensure that they're getting the most out of Salesforce, but it's not like driving them. They are using it to grow their company, to improve sales processes, improve efficiencies and everything. We spoke recently about, one big advantage of Salesforce is there's so many different departments that can go onto the platform. And I think, like, if you talk to anybody, they'd be like, oh man, great. I just need one single sign-on. I just need one license. I don't have 10 different licenses. But I think one other advantage of using Salesforce for sales, marketing, service, and even field service with field service management is the ability to not have information silos. And I have heard stories about how sales is using this app and marketing is using that app, and then service is using a whole different app. And suddenly there's not a lot of good communication. And I was wondering if you could talk about the disadvantages of having all those different apps with data silos, basically information silos between departments, and then the advantages of them all when the time is right, getting onto the Salesforce platform and opening up those lines of communication and everything.
Right. So what I would say is this. I think again, I know I'm saying this a lot, but it depends on what is the priority, right? The number one thing I would say is you need to have a long-term vision. Once the client has a long-term vision to say, hey, we understand that this is a problem. It can become a bigger problem, that, the salesperson is going in to pitch a product that, while the customer has a service issue on the back end, there's a lot of things that you need to manually check. One of a project that we're working on right now is a complex IT firm that has multiple products, lines of services, contracts. There's a lot going on. So essentially, when you look at their account object, there's so much activity going on that there's renewals happening, there's cases, there's this, there's that, so much invoicing. So it's the arming your sales team with the right information, that when they have certain conversations, they're not flying in blind. That's really what the key thing is. Anybody talking to your client needs to have a full perspective of what is going on. And especially if you're a larger company, having that holistic 360 point of view, or at least understanding or being aware of it, is important. Now, if you're a smaller company, the challenge becomes, well, we're a small company. We can't have 50 platforms going forward. That's totally fine. But it's to figure out what can we do in the meantime to set up a funnel to first grow sales first and foremost, which is what Salesforce was founded on since 1999. It's been the leading flagship product for sales CRM. Get that going first. Once that's done, then you can see, okay, well, how do we then service our clients? What are the issues that are happening? How do we do project management? These things then come afterwards. A lot of times, if you do it the other way around, or you're trying to do different pieces, it becomes a bit more complicated, and it's unnecessarily, let's say, complicated for the client or anybody to manage. So I think just having those priorities in order to say, first, let's grow top line revenue. Then we're going to focus on, making the team's effectiveness much higher by, combining all the information together. Then we can say, okay, once that's done, it's more about connecting the marketing journeys to say, when a client is ready to buy, we want to go in with an offer. We want to stay front of mind. What are the triggers that are there in order to bring the clients towards us, or to say, hey, there's something new that's been going on in our world, and we think that it's a fit for you based on your behavior. So it's targeted marketing. It's about working much smarter than just going with a cold approach and, quantity over quality. And it's to find that balance, to transition between you're just throwing shots in the air and hoping something sticks, rather than saying, let's be a bit more strategic and targeted and do a higher volume. And that's really where it is: high volume and high precision, so that you can actually maximize your chance of success. And we've seen that with a few clients who are following more of a systematic approach. Their sales grows first, and then it's the service comes right after. So it's like, how do we then service this new business that we're bringing in? And it's the same things that we're putting into our business, is to, as we grow, how do we maintain the structure? How do we scale? How do we add 5 more people and then make sure that they're not lost or drowning on day one? And that's a big focus for us internally, but also to help our clients with as we navigate.
Yeah. Excellent. And this is phenomenal. One thing that kind of stood out at the top of your answer there was just a quick example that could kind of be disastrous. You're going in to meet your client, and you have no idea what's going on in customer service, that they have a major issue, and you're going to get blasted, if you will. One of our customers said that they get blasted in the face, but now they don't, because they have Salesforce service and everything, and they can look and see. But I wanted to kind of maybe segue into integrating with the ERP, such as QuickBooks, SAP, SysPro, Sage, et cetera, with Commercient SYNC, where you're going to get a little bit more of the back office, the accounting, what's happening with orders, where the status. If you're creating quotes in Salesforce, being able to access up-to-date, real-time inventory, products, pricing, if a customer has specific pricing, or if the prices are changing, and then using that data that Commercient is syncing over to quickly create a quote, or just being able to visit a customer knowing what they last bought. I always use the example of an irregular purchasing customer, where you don't want to bug the accounting department to get a report on what they last bought. You can just pull it up on your phone in Salesforce, and there's that history. So I was wondering if we could talk a little bit about that additional kind of data that comes over from the ERP, the back office, if you will, that helps with that customer 360 through Commercient SYNC.
The power of information. I think the more information that is relevant to a customer that a salesperson has or a service agent has, the better that customer interaction is going to be. I'm sure that, even the audience, when they're listening to this, or, you, Heath, when you're looking at this and you're thinking about how does, when you call into, let's say, for example, your bank or your insurance broker, and you're talking to them and like, wait, what was that? What do you have with us again? Oh, what's your file number? And they search for that, and you're just thinking, oh my God, I have to repeat myself. And then let's say you have to then transfer your department to somebody else, and then you have to re-explain everything. It's just such a waste of time. And I think the tolerance for wasting time as the world becomes more and more digital is the general patience of the population is decreasing. So we've become into a super hyper mini format. So what I mean that is more, I don't have a word for it, but it's essentially like short form content. So 10 seconds,
Yeah.
15 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute. The short form content is growing a lot, and that's what people are getting programmed to and used to as they
Yeah.
consume social media and things like that. So that generally leads to a decrease in the ability to concentrate on certain things. Now imagine that piled with the concentration effort that's required to stay on the phone and make sure that you don't, the hold
Yeah.
music is stopped and somebody's actually talking to you. And I just talked to somebody this morning where they were talking about points with their airline, and they had to call in and wait on the phone for 8 hours. And this person is a premium
Ugh.
frequent flyer. So you can imagine the frustration of somebody that is waiting on the phone and as wasting their precious time. This is a C-level
Yeah.
executive. And you can imagine that now that one person then goes and badmouths you or says, oh my God, I had a horrible experience here.
Mhm.
The detrimental effect that that can have on business is crazy, because the
Yeah.
power of network, the power of word of mouth. So essentially what you need to do is to think about it from a different point of view. So okay, you don't want to get the craziest system, but can you do something to reduce the pain of the customer as they're dealing with you and your brand? And
Mm.
that's really the question. It can be answered in many different ways. There are simplistic solutions that can be done. And I think Commercient SYNC as well, having that, how does that tie back to invoicing? So for example, when somebody calls in and that, hey, this customer hasn't paid in 5 months, and they're calling and maybe they're going through some issues, it's good for that service person to understand that, also be empathetic and say, hey, how are things going? Like, we didn't see this, like, do you have 5 invoices, rather than starting to, let's say, work on new issues as you
Yeah.
have this service cost and this outstanding invoices. On the
Mm.
flip side, if you see a customer is growing but you think that they're small, and they call in, and maybe it started off as a 5-person company and now they got some investment and they're 100 people, so
Yeah.
they're calling and you can see their revenues and their billings. And I'm thinking specifically insurance, right? When each person that you're insuring, your contract plan goes up, your premiums go up, essentially, right? As you add more and more people, your monthly payments to the insurance company. So from the other side, when you're looking at this and somebody calls in, if you have the initial assumption, oh, they're a small company, but then you didn't actually look at the file, or you don't know from finance that they
Mm.
just added 50 new people
Yeah.
that are on the plan, you're going to think differently. Not to say that service changes, but your assumptions change, that
Yeah.
you're seeing that this company is growing. Can we offer them other services? That they're in a buying mode. Can we strategically position a product that complements their growth? Hey, you're growing super fast. Can we health and wellness benefits, RRSP matching? You're not doing it today. This is a perfect fit. So
Mm.
having that intelligent information is super important. And I think it's, even if you don't lose out on it, I think companies are leaving money on the table, and
Yeah.
you're not optimizing your a follow-up process. You're not tying the delivery back into sales. And I think then, the cost of acquisition of new business is then it keeps getting bigger and bigger as you become a
Yeah.
bigger company. And every hour you spend is then hour you're not spending on something else.
Mm.
So keeping in mind the customer acquisition costs, and saying, hey, let's be a bit more strategic and try to resell the clients that we have great relationships with, and honestly find opportunities for them to succeed as well, I think is a great way to, it's a win-win for you, it's a win for the client, it's a win for everybody. So I think that's what it comes back to, is the power of information and making sure that you have all the the data that you need in order to make a good decision, whether it's sales, service, or marketing.
Excellent. And right off the top, I was thinking one other big thing, especially when it comes, it could be any department, probably mostly sales and service, but I would feel, if I were a customer, kind of what you had said, and I'm calling in just like, checking on things, or even just I'm ready to do some more business, and that salesperson has no idea, without having that data synced over by Commercient, I would feel even not just frustration and, hey, this is a waste of time, but am I just not an important customer? And I think, like you were saying, little things that you could do makes that customer feel important. Like maybe the salesperson sees like a little bottleneck and in getting the order done because maybe, there was a delay in getting some parts from overseas, they can quickly get on the phone and say, hey, listen, I just want you to know it's going to be delayed a little bit. Here's the reason why. Those are the types of like small touches that I, as a customer, would really appreciate. And I would not want to wander around and find somebody else. It's that feeling of importance, and like you said, not having your time wasted. So how can they learn more about you and Terrabbit?
Great question. For Terrabbit, we're pretty active on social media. We're on Instagram, on Facebook, mainly on LinkedIn as well. And our website is up and running. We just redid that recently. And the best way to engage with us is, I would say, just send us a message. If there's anything that we need to chat about, you can always, my socials are always up to date. You can always book a 15-minute call to chat about any challenges that are going on. And just strategy. I love reading about strategy. I love thinking about strategy, and the whole business is built on philosophy and strategy. And these are, I'm really putting my money where my mouth is, and really investing in people, really investing in technology, really investing in what we think good business should look like. And I think a core part of customer service is having your business really focused on making the client happy, and what does it mean for them? What does success look like for them? Not trying to sell. It's really trying to figure out what information does the client need in order to make an informed decision. And that's really it. And I never think of it like I'm selling a client. I'm always guiding them or showing them an options that they have, and then they can make a decision. We really don't do pressure selling. We don't do, chasing people down to say, hey, you should do this. It's really to, like we're selling candy on the side of the street or something like that. This is a very complex environment that we're in. It takes a long time to implement. There are many, many challenges. Sometimes we do turn clients away, and we do say, we have parted ways with certain clients as well. And we've said that it really depends on the way that you work and the strategy and the long-term thinking that's there. And that's what we try to do. And we really try to do right by our clients and by our partners and everybody that's involved, to make sure that at the end of the day, it's the best thing that you can have for your business. And we hopefully communicate that well. And we always have our partners and clients and our employees' backs. It's not something that we're going to run away from. We don't run away from challenges. We're like, hey, let's figure out a way to walk through this, right? It's going to be tough, but we'll figure it out. And that's really our attitude towards a lot of challenges that we face.
Awesome. Enlightening conversation. Always great speaking with you. Congratulations on your success and growth, and take care.
Thanks, Keith. You too. Ciao.
Thank you for watching and listening to SYNCcast powered by Commercient. If you'd like to learn more about Sync, ERP, and CRM data integration, please visit our website, commercient.com. Thank you.